All right, this is the lab review for the 22nd of April. A wonderful day, fantabulous day. Back to the reviews. Just was on vacation. Now we're back at it. So, a killer day in the Discord with the community where we capitalized on a beautiful 3.5 hour trade. Here's a quick review on the look, right? TP smash 3.5 hour, and here was kind of the idea, me mentioning I'm long. Beautiful day. So, what entailed me to take the trade I took today? Well, there's a couple components. There's your bias, there's your trade, and obviously there's the execution aspect with price. And yeah, so a pretty eventful day, like I said. Coming into the open through my bias, as you guys know, I use this thing called the opening range move, where it's the first move off of New York Open into typically an overnight high or low. And based off that, we kind of get a gauge of bias. We did not happen to use that today because I more so got a gauge of price overall. For me, I was a bit more neutral at the time of entering New York Open due to how price was overnight, which was very choppy. You look at conditions right here, we were just very up and down, not really doing much in price as compared to, previously. But for me, I was leaning slightly upside due to higher time frames and just sentiment overall because of the fact that we are trading all-time highs and we've seen such a tremendous move in the past week and a little bit. So a day today where we capitalized really nicely. Once we had seen our initial move off the open, I stood very patient. And here's the thing that I really want to emphasize that a lot of people don't get a gauge of or don't really, they more so overlook before entering this trade. Although we're 1-for-1 today and we caught a 3.5 hour trade, you have to remember the patience that was required in order to get here. A lot of traders, when they first start, are newer traders, inexperienced traders, or traders who just don't know how to, manage emotions well, they'll just look to take a trade just to take a trade. What we did here off the open was we simply avoided price. We simply waited for price to look to get better. Once that happened, we simply took entry. Well, if you look at price here off the open, you could see that price clearly wasn't the best off the open, and we were more so seeing price just chop, chop, chop. And so for me, when I was looking at it, I was not trying to trade this, right? Because of the fact that it was not up to our standard. And I think this is something that you guys have to more so make sure you constantly look at whenever it comes to you journaling or simply reflecting and realizing that this right here, us not taking the trade, it's just equally, if not more important than actually taking the trade, right? Not only, is it important to make money in the market, but it's also important to save money because people can make money, can they actually save it? And so for us, we kind of waited here for a bit and a bit and a bit. We eventually see price showcase some interest and potentially moving higher. We see an internal sell side grab, which kind of sparked up my interest. Me being slightly bullish here made me want to believe that we could see a potential move up higher. So that's what I more so looked to do here. We had a 1 minute gap go invert where we ended up seeing price come up here and eventually go invert. The idea off this trade here was obviously the inverse closure, and then a 1 minute wick low as my stop loss. You could have easily kept your stop to swing low here if you felt you needed to give price a bit more wiggle room, but I was content with where our stop was. I felt it was a good validation point. I felt as if price were to come up here, invert, and then come back down into this low, that not only would we invalidate this low, but we would see price come down here, take out this low here as well. So that kind of just mitigates the potential of excess loss. And we see price eventually come up here, and our break even for this trade here was all-time high, which was 11 highs on NQ. And simply for our take profit in mind, our take profit in mind for this trade was 27,000. It was a psych level. It's very hard to base levels on NQ through all-time highs because when you're in a situation like we were today where you have no historical data, it's very hard. Chat, let me share my screen here. Oops. There you go. But when you have a gauge of price, and when you see price more so look to shoot here, once I felt like London highs were taken, I had strong conviction in the high or higher being pushed in, and we see price eventually come up here. We see price initially stall off the high, but then we see price over time just come up here and we take it. You see how that 27,000 level could be a very tough psych level, and we more so got a gauge behind both. We saw that ES was slightly weaker, aka also lagging, so we took NQ the leading asset. But a beautiful trade overall, simple review, a simple day where we saw a pretty decent ROI. So if you guys have any questions in chat, you guys can let me know. And yeah, great freaking review.